Hi everybody, Ryan here once again with Berserk Custom Paint. I know that I've been gone for a really long time, but I'm finally back again. I've been really busy lately. I've had a lot of work to do. I moved into a new place, so there's been a lot of changes and just not a lot of time to make these videos. But I'm back, I'm organized, I got time, and there's going to be a lot more videos coming. So make sure you subscribe, because when it comes to airbrush and just general artistic custom culture knowledge, this will be a really good source for you guys, because I'm going to just feed you all the information I get as I get it, and share as much as I can. This video is going to cover texturing effects. I use a product called Grunge Effects in this, which is a product by Michael Valley. If you don't know who he is, Michael Valley is pretty much the guy who revolutionized what we call true fire. So he's got a new product. It's a texture product. I love it. It's really cool. It's got a lot of, it's a spray, so you get a lot of freedoms to create your own personal textures. So it's not like one of those things where people will be able to look at your artwork and immediately recognize how you did it, because it's a spray, so you can do a lot of crazy weird things with it and you can make it your own. So check that out. That's what's in this video to come. Also, this video is a very small version. It's actually the very beginning of a larger video that I'm making for you guys. The larger video is going to cover what I call micro portraits, or very small portraits. It's how I do photorealism, or what I call photorealism, in a very scaled down size. So I cover what paints, and I cover different topics like reduction and different things like that. Also, if you have any questions, make sure you ask them in the comment section. If I can, I'll answer them. But if you don't get your answer immediately, make sure you watch the rest of my videos if you haven't already, because most likely 9 times out of 10 I've answered your questions several times in other videos. So check those out. Also, if you're looking for any of the products that I use, you should really check out coastairbrush.com. Those guys are very knowledgeable, and if you have any questions, if you're a newbie and you're just getting into airbrush, what airbrush do I buy, what compressor, what kind of paint, what kind of this, what this, everything I know and everything I use, you can find out at coastairbrush.com. So check that out, and I hope you enjoy this video. Make sure you subscribe, because there's a lot more coming. So thanks for watching, guys. Check it out. A few things I want to talk about before I get started is the colors of paint that I'm going to be using, what I'm painting on my surface, and what tools I'll be using. My tool of choice is the Custom Micron CM. That's custom with the K, CM, Micron. The reason that's my favorite airbrush is because I've found that it's pretty much the best thing to get the job done. I've used a couple of other products and nothing really works as well as my Iwata. So that's my weapon of choice. My color, on the other hand, is it's a Standox urethane paint. You can do this if you're a water-based kind of guy. If you use Createx illustration colors, that's really great. Wicked, it's really great also. If you're a House of Color guy, that's another really great one. PPG is great. But in this case, I'll be using Standox, but there's a little difference in the brand as long as you're using the ones I just mentioned, because those are the only ones that I've had a lot of experience with. My color is actually a gray. It looks like white, I'm sure, on camera. But what it is, it's mostly white with a few drops of red candy. The red candy just gives it a warmer tone, because I want the whole thing to kind of have a warm tone when I'm done with it. There's not really a science to my mixture either. What I did is I just kind of put a little bit of white in there, or as much white as I think I'm going to use on this project, and added maybe 5 drops of the candy, which is already pre-mixed, to my white. And then I also added maybe about 5 drops of black, so it gave me this kind of a gray tone. And I'll explain why it's gray later on in the video. My substrate, or my surface that I'm working on, is an oil tank for a brass balls custom chopper, or a bobber, if you will. And it's a black surface. I prepped it out with 800 grit, and then I chased that with 1000 grit wet sandpaper. And I've also went ahead and masked off the rest of my tank with paper, as you see. The paper is going to protect my overspray from speckling around the rest of the black surface. That way later, when I'm finished with the painting and I want to do some cleanup, I won't have these loose speckles, somewhere where I might not catch them until it's already cleared and on the bike, and, make you feel bad because you missed it. So it's better just to go ahead and tape it off beforehand. I went ahead and back tape. This doesn't have to look pretty or perfect, because in the end we're going to kind of vignette everything back. So I'm going to kill it back with black and blend it into the black surface. But just to make my life a little bit easier, because I don't want any hard edges, I went ahead and back tape, which I simply just put half the tape down, as you see, and then peeled it back, bent it back, just like that. And what that does is it creates a softer edge. Even though it's all jagged and not pretty, it's a lot softer than if I were to just tape right on the edge like you would normally when you're masking something off. That's going to create a hard edge, and that's not something that I want. So I went ahead and did this, and it's going to just control my overspray. So while I was in Vancouver recently, I got to meet and chat with Mike LaValle, and he has a new product. I'm sure you've probably heard of it if you're watching this video, called Art Tools Grunge Effects Spray, which is this right here. This is the Art Tools Grunge Effects Spray. I've had little experience with it, but the little experience that I've had with it has been really cool, because unlike stencils or other, I guess, texturing products, this product is pretty much you're in control a lot more. You can do a lot of weird things with it. So a lot of problem I have with other texture effects products is that it's easy to recognize it if you're another painter. And I don't like to make my things really easy to recognize. If there's an effect that I created, I don't want somebody to be able to see it right away and know exactly what I did. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to back off with the spray. It comes with two different tips. I'm going to be about maybe 10 inches back. And I'm just going to dust on a couple of background splatters and then spray through it just a little bit. Let that dry a little. Let's go ahead and wipe it off. Now you don't want to wipe this off too soon, so if you have a paint that stays wet for a minute, then you want to go ahead and wait for it to dry up. Mine, I just barely put it on, so it doesn't stay wet for very long. Anyway, so let's do this again. Get some good splatters in there. You can move it around. You can hammer it if you want. Move it around. I like to really move it around because it just kind of gives it really weird effects. Normally I have my vent fan on, but it makes a lot of noise, and I didn't want the background noise in this video, so I'm just going to blow the fumes away with my airbrush. Okay. That should be pretty dry by now. So I'm going to wipe that off. And if it starts to smear like it just did, that's okay, because it's just a background texture, and anything goes as far as I'm concerned. If it smears, let it smear. Let it do some weird things, because the weirder and the more odd the design comes out to be, the better. So actually this comes with two tips. Here's the other tip. This puts a bigger splatter out. Bigger tip, bigger splatter. So I'm going to switch out tips now. Alright, and I'm going to back way up and hammer it on there. Really messy job, but the reward can be kind of cool. Move it around, break it up, move it around, move it around. See, what I'm doing is I'm hammering it down and I'm just moving it around. Okay? So let's get a lot of opacity with that there. Blow the fumes away. As I said, I recommend that you wear a respirator and you also have good ventilation when doing this, because the paint is poison, but it just doesn't record well. So I'm not doing it right now, but normally I do have a lot of protection on. Okay, so that should be pretty dry by now. I'm just going to go ahead and dab it, get some of the excess off. And it's moving around quite a bit, but that's cool. I like that. Now it looks. See, now we're really getting some cool textures. And it's something you want to play with when you're doing textures like this. You want to, just play around. There are no rules. Anything goes. Just play with it. All right, let's do this one more time. Put a little X in there. Let's move it around first. Put some holes in it, and then hammer it on. Move it around, hammer it on. Move it around, hammer it on. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and let it dry. Blow the fumes away. My face is away from this, so I'm not sucking in a lot of fumes right now. Just blowing them away. Okay, I think it's probably dry enough. Let's wipe it off. But smearing, that's too much smearing. So let's go ahead and let it dry a little more. Maybe we should dab it, pick up some of that excess. Okay. So that's probably pretty good. So we're going to let that go ahead and dry up a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead with another texture technique, layer up my textures. I'm probably going to kill this one back with a little bit of black, kill a little white back a little bit. That way my next texture will be a little more apparent, because this is going to be background. You won't see a lot of this because we're going to do a lot of layering with our texturing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, take my grunge effects and switch the cap back out. Now I've got my little cap. I'm going to go ahead and fog something on there. And what I got now is black. And this black mixture has a couple of drops of red in it just to warm it up, because the black usually is kind of blue. Okay, I'm going to put a little more on there. Peel it back just a little more. I know it looks a little muddy right now, but it won't when we're done. Go ahead and tap it dry just a little bit. And wipe it off. Okay, I know this isn't the prettiest texture in the world, but we're not going for pretty right now. There's going to be a lot of artwork on top of it. Like I said, I'm not the best with this technique yet, but it's something you should play with so you can master it. For this texture effect, I'm going to be using some lace. It's a traditional method, not a lot of science to it. You just put the lace down. I've pinned it up here with the tape that I had back tape on the top. I'm going to pull it down, kind of stretch it a little bit. If you want, you can secure this with tape beforehand. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to go with it. So I've got white again. So I'm just going to spray through that. Now with lace, you don't want to put it on too wet because it'll soak your lace, and the solvents, if you're using a solvent-based paint, it will eat into the color and move it around. So you just want to fog it on. I'm staying to the left side of the canvas because I know that there's going to be a portrait on the right side, so I don't need to do a lot there. Just kind of put it down, spray through it. Okay, got it held down. Let it dry a little bit. You don't want to move it around too much. As you can see, my hand is perfectly still at the bottom, not letting it move around. And this method is going to come with some practice because you got to know when you're done and how much texture you want and what kind of lace you want to use. This is a lace I've never used before. I just saw it, thought it was interesting. I've never seen it before, so I'm using it. And let's see how it turned out. There you go. Now looking at this, it's probably not the most attractive texture in the world, but remember, I'm not really going for something. This texture is not going to be the focal point of my painting. The focal point is going to be my foreground. So this texture it's just creating a bit of dimension. So you know, as grungier it looks, the better. And you know, I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This isn't the traditional lace technique. That's not what I'm after in this piece. I'm after something kind of dirty and grungy and, you know, kind of wild.